Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We're at IDK, my BFF Jill 730.
My BFF Jill 730.
I'm Preston L. Young, wishing you warm salutations and congratulations as always. You've made your way to the Buffington Post.
You are invited!
Today I'll be taking a break from the Buffyverse because it's time to talk about HBO's WestWorld. It's Season 1, Episode 7, This French Word. And without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go.
The time has come!
You wanna be on top? Wanna be on top? It's time to make it happen. You know that we don't stop. And when you get it hot, you gotta be on top. Wanna be on top? Wanna be on top? Wanna be on top?
I really like being right. Let's see. I said Teresa was gonna die. I said Bernard's gonna be a robot. It's been a lot of fun being right with episode 7, but I have to say the Dolores stuff is kind of, I'm not as invested in it as I am with like Maeve and Bernard and basically like most of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes in Westworld. I find that to be really like the most interesting part of the show just because I'm not a big fan of the Western genre, and so since Dolores and William are on this kind of, Westworld-y quest, it's very much just a Western throwback, and that's what that whole dynamic is about, and that's basically like what their whole scenes are, and when the show goes super Western, I just kind of, it's not that I tune out, it's just, I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that Dolores is just in this loop or something, and sure, it's going to pay off, but just because it feels so much like an old Western, I'm just not about it with Dolores and William. But we do see William just breaking down and kind of either really embracing his humanity or leaving it behind, depending on which way you want to look at it. But either way, he is totally investing himself in Dolores' storyline, which, again, I can't really do, but we are seeing him kind of throw himself into this idea of Westworld, which is kind of fascinating, and at the same time it's like, well, if this dual timeline theory is like a thing, and it's for sure gonna be not a theory, then all of this is just kind of like, okay, I get it, like we're just peeling back all of these layers, and again, I'm sure it's gonna have a good payoff, but I'm kind of over Dolores and William for now, but I'm sure it'll get more interesting. Now, with Maeve, I find the Maeve character to be just the most interesting one that we've got here and what she's going through. I can't really decide if I want to feel like what she's going through is being manufactured, since we know that Robert, by the way, yeah, we're calling him Robert, we're not calling him Ford or Dr. Ford or any of that shit, because when you murder people, we call you Robert. So Robert, he seems to be in control of everything that's going on here, and so, like, I don't know if Maeve is being activated by something within her or from some outside force that's not like with Westworld, or if it is in fact just Robert. But whatever it is that she's going through, I think it's really fascinating because in this episode we have Maeve and she realizes, at this point when she's going back into her loop, that she's, out of her loop, and she understands that these other individuals that she interacts with on daily, like Clementine, they are just robots, they're just programs. But Maeve, even though she understands this, she does still have these feelings for Clementine. She has this need to protect her and to make sure that she's okay, even though we wouldn't kind of think of Maeve as needing to feel this way. But because Maeve sees herself as just that, as a self, her willingness to reach out to Clementine and give her the benefit of the doubt that she has a self in there somewhere is really beautiful, and at the same time it's tragic because we see what happens to Clementine. She's just a pawn that's used, and again, the idea of how exactly biological in nature the androids are is brought up, because we had in the episode, I think it was Contrapasso when we had the blood transfusion, and that was super weird, and it brought up the idea like how biological really are they? And then we had in the next episode, in Adversary, we had Maeve seeing how the androids were made, and it wasn't until they poured this blood substance into them that the bodies took on some kind of color. And so it looks like there is this very biological element to it, especially in this episode where we see once again that they're having to physically lobotomize the androids like Clementine. And so this again leads us to believe that they aren't as robotic necessarily as we had been led to believe, and that they may in fact be a lot more biological than is comfortable. So that's really interesting. And with all of that, you have to wonder, like, what is this idea that the board wants to move forward with? We have in this episode Charlotte saying that they want the intellectual property, but they're not worried about the employees. They're not worried about the idea of the narratives and all of that. They want something bigger and deeper. And that might be slave labor. That might be just a workforce that you can create and manage and won't ask questions. And if we have the androids being taken out and used as literal slave labor, what is that going to mean for the outside world? A world that, again, we haven't even seen, so we don't know what this world looks like. Some people are wondering if maybe the board and the more corporate elements are going to want to use the androids for militaristic purposes, but if we've basically eliminated disease in the outside world as we've been led to believe, then why would we still be warring with one another? That's why I don't necessarily think it's for military. I think it's just for industry. And Charlotte Hale from the board, she's really interesting. Not necessarily, I don't know if I like her or not, but there do seem to be these question marks around her. I don't know how much more influenced by the board she is than Robert, because at this point, it seems that everybody is in Robert's pocket, and we don't know what we're supposed to believe. We don't know if we can believe what we're seeing anymore, especially since, hello, Bernard was supposed to be a reliable narrator, and suddenly he's not. And so that's the frustrating thing about Hale, but the one really fascinating thing about her that I took away from this episode is the board is coming. And so whatever this narrative is that Ford is working on right now, and whatever's going on with Maeve, I really do think that it is in preparation for the board to get here, because she says when the rest of the board gets here, yada yada yada. And so they're all going to be there at once. And if Robert is trying to completely protect this world that he's created, maybe he's trying to take that opportunity to get these Maeve things in motion, to get this Dolores thing in motion, to get this new narrative in motion, to get rid of the board once and for all. I don't know, but it really does seem like he's just trying to protect what's his, and again, he sees himself as a god. And speaking of gods, he is God of Bernard. Yes, we finally found out in this episode that Bernard is in fact a robot. He was just having this backstory that was his son, and I told you, when you see Gina Torres in a dystopian wonderland, she's not what she appears to be. Something I've been wondering about since Charlotte showed up was maybe this dual timeline somehow is, maybe Charlotte Hale is being played by, what's her name, Tessa Thompson in one timeline, and then Gina Torres in the future. Or, holy shit, maybe Gina Torres is one of the board members that Ford already has in his pocket, and Tessa Thompson is just like an android younger version of her, question mark? That doesn't really make sense with what we've seen, but that's what I thought immediately when she showed up. But when we did see that Gina Torres' whole reality was not reality because, hello, Bernard's been a robot this whole time, it was great. I really enjoyed it, and what can you really say? It's what a lot of us have been saying. Ford is just driving Bernard around, and now is Bernard Arnold? Is this Bernardold thing a thing? We'll just have to see. I mean, a lot of us think halfway on all the different theories, and some of us are like gung-ho on certain ones, but for right now, the whole Lost element is just, it's fun for now. I'm not gonna try and get too invested in any particular theory because I feel like it just kind of weighs the show down and doesn't allow us for real appreciation of what we're just seeing. And so, with that being said, there's not a whole lot else that I had to say about this episode. It was fun, and again, we got all these reveals that a lot of us have been waiting for and hoping for, and just really excited to see what's gonna go forward with Dolores and William figuring themselves out and all this extra. And so, yeah, sorry I'm like a week late, literally, but we'll check it out tonight. Have a good day. We'll see you next time. Bye.
If I were looking for a white rabbit, I'd ask the Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter? No, I don't...
Or there's the March Hare in that direction.
Thank you. I think I shall visit him.
Of course, he's mad too.
But I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. Most everyone's mad here. You may have noticed that I'm not all there myself. And the morals are real.
Goodness. If the people here are like that, I must try not to upset them.
Is this where you live?
Yep, just me and Abu. Come and go as we please.
That sounds fabulous.
Well, it's not much, but it's got a great view. Wow, the palace looks pretty amazing, huh?
Oh, it's wonderful.
I wonder what it'd be like to live there. And have servants and valets.
Oh, sure. People who tell you where to go and how to dress.
That's better than here. You're always scraping for food and ducking the guards.
You're not free to make your own choices.
Sometimes you feel so
You're just
trapped.
Think of it as a game. A fun, funny game. Without all the rules, or any of the bothersome winning part. But still, there are sides. You have to choose a side.
My BFF Joe 730.